1,318 days ago, on the 2nd of February 2020, I started the carnivore diet. I knew quite a lot about it prior to starting, and I think some ideas come across from what I knew in the past from bodybuilding days where people would, reduce fat, reduce carbohydrates, and they just wanted a way to get better fat loss results. But I noticed for me it wasn't very sustainable, at which point I tried it again, the carnivore diet, but this time I did it properly, so I added in more fat. That was one of the key turning points for me that made the diet a lot more manageable. I'm going to go through some of the most tremendous impacts that this diet has had towards my lifestyle overall. Some of these things may surprise you a little bit, but I think they're not often talked about, especially in our community. So around 6 years ago, I was diagnosed very late with autistic spectrum disorder. I scored pretty high considering the fact that I tend to fit in quite well in a lot of social situations. But I knew something wasn't right. It is extremely obvious as a child I didn't fit in. I was very unique in my own way. I was the black sheep, or the black swan, you might say. So I knew something was up at that point. So I sought to get diagnosed. I did some online tests and they sort of said, yeah, well, definitely. Of course you're autistic. It wasn't a surprise at all. Now, how the carnivore diet comes into this? Well, what I noticed was that I had reduced issues of sensory sensitivities, things like that. So I could go out in public and go to slightly noisier places, be around more people, be around more light, and it doesn't quite impact me as much. Now, a number of reasons why that is when you're doing the carnivore diet, you eliminate all of junk from your body. You get rid of all the toxins, put on all the good, nutritious food that you need to thrive, essentially. And that seems to be what's happened to me. What I noticed as well is that my focus was increased, my attention span was much greater, and I tend to have much smoother social interactions. Now, another condition I have, which is self-diagnosed personally, is synesthesia. So this is the point where when I'm speaking to someone or speaking to the camera like I am right now, I experience emotions, kind of like pictures, imagery, feelings based on what I'm saying, but those feelings are very strong, which is quite a strange kind of thing to talk about because you just think you live in your own body, you live in your own head, this is all normal. But until I started to notice other people have this same issue, I looked into it a bit further and would you have it? Synesthesia, that's something I experience. So there we go. Now, the carnivore diet did not improve this symptomology at all. However, it's a bit more manageable. I feel a lot better overall. Now I'm going to be discussing things like anxiety and general depression in this next short segment. I think there is a clear link between the gut-brain axis in that what you feed your body will allow you to better serve your cognitive health, or worse in some cases if you're feeding it the wrong things. So in that case, for me, having a carnivore diet has been very helpful. I seem to notice that when I have off-plan meals, i.e. non-carnivore, non-animal foods, I tend to feel a bit worse. Now, the drasticness of that is dependent on the food itself. The more toxic it is, the more sugar, the more fat as well in combination, seems to trigger my anxiety a bit higher, if that makes sense. So I notice that if I'm not as strict on the diet, I have more issues. So with that in mind, I tend to have 1 to 2 meals off-plan with family each month. But the fact remains I'm still 99% carnivore by macronutrient value over a given month-long period anyway, so it works out quite well for me, and I feel I still reap all the results that I could probably want at this point. Now, what I noticed as well with the depression side of things is my mood is more stabilised. I'm better able to focus, and things don't get me quite as wound up. Now, I do get wound up quite a bit. I am seemingly a massive target, quite literally, for a lot of trolls online, so I do end up blocking people most weeks, which is frustrating, but that's just the nature of being a guy on the internet. It seems to be very common, especially amongst men. I've noticed they seem to have the biggest issue of this. I think a lot of it is the egotism amongst men, which is quite frustrating. I'm sure a lot of you guys that are watching this can probably agree. You can't just walk around without your top off if you've got a bit of muscle and have no one stare at you and no one point the finger and say, oh, So that's something that's always going to be a mainstay in my life, which is unfortunate for them, but at least it shows I'm making an impact. People watching, which is all part of the charade, I guess. What I've noticed as well, just touching on the point of how I feel as my man and building some muscle, is that I feel stronger in the gym. I'd say my peak strength is much higher. My ability to recover from workouts seems better, as I don't get really sore muscles anymore. Now, that's not to say I train more often. I probably train less often, but I notice that my workouts are more effective. And I don't seem to use bodybuilding or resistance training as a crutch to keep myself entertained and busy. I'm quite happy doing my own thing, making YouTube videos, coaching people online, consulting with people to help them out. And that seems to fulfill my sense of purpose I have. I no longer have to spend, 15, 20 hours in the gym each week. I probably spend 3 or 4 hours in the gym now. I'm still getting the same sort of results, if not better. So for me, it's been a win-win in terms of bodybuilding, strength, things like that. Now, on the note of strength, I've noticed that, like I said, my recovery's got better. So I believe a lot of that has to do with sleep quality. And what I notice with a lot of people on the carnivore diet is that they tend to have better night's sleep. For the most part, people seem to sleep a little bit less, maybe 5 hours versus 7 hours before. But with that 5 hours, they're sleeping better. So for me, that says it's got positive effect on how you sleep, which overall turns over and translates to better outcomes in the gym, recovering better, feeling better overall, and having a better overall sense of well-being. So for me, that's been particularly useful. Now, touching a little bit about motivation and anxiety as well, I find that I've had a lot less anxiety as I've progressed through the carnivore diet. It seems to be that the stricter I am, the better that sort of feeling is. I can no longer get extreme outrage over things that are seemingly not that troublesome. For me, it's a lot easier to sort of go by life and deal with life's stresses that we all seem to have. And I've noticed as well, I feel more stoic in myself. I feel like I'm better able to overcome obstacles, defeat challenges, and just be more motivated day by day, which is something that people don't often talk about. And I think when your body's a bit healthier, you feel better overall. Your body's just doing what it's meant to be doing. You're meant to be thriving as a human being. Your motivation's higher. And I think that's the default state we should all be striving to achieve. So I've had my YouTube channel at this point for about a year. And I've been following the carnivore diet for 3.5, nearly 4 years. And what I've learned is some really obvious things. When it comes to the diet, people don't adhere to it properly, and that's why they don't get the results. And I'm always sitting in consultations with people saying, if you're just a bit stricter, and it's not like you're asking for much for someone to just follow a plan. It is frustrating, but what I'm really saying in this video is not to sort of negate the efforts of people where they're trying quite hard, but they're not quite doing what they need to be doing. I'm just saying, just keep going. Eventually you'll persist. You'll get so fed up of just, kicking the can along the street, and it gets to the point where we say, enough is enough. I want to succeed. I want to thrive. By that point, you'll say, let's get rid of all the binge eating. Let's get rid of all the nonsense food. Let's just start having a proper, sensible human diet. So if anyone watching this has been inspired by my little ramble here, just let me know in the comment section below. Also, I'd be quite interested to see what kind of results you've had in a carnivore diet, and if you're hitting any particular stumbles or plateaus, book a consultation with myself that I do offer, and that will be available through the link below, which is compositionconsultant.com/consultations. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you.